This is a little idea for you to get out of. You can apply this to languages or you can apply it to your goals. Like, this is the whole point of the Life Atelier. We're using the same tools for the different areas of our life. So I would call this the I am stuck in a rut and I would like to change the energy, change the situation tool. Or if we're applying it to languages, it's getting off that plateau, right? Um, I've done 2 coaching sessions this morning. One was straight up life coaching, and then one was language coaching. And the tools we're using are the same. So I'm going to run through like just a little example to help you. For both of these situations, to solve the problem, the tool that we're initially using is replacing self-judgment with curiosity. What happens when we judge ourselves? And if you think you're like, I don't judge myself, just it's very likely you're doing that, okay? Because it's a natural instinct, right? It's something that our brains do to solve problems. Their first response is to like blame us, blame ourselves. We also have this 80% negativity bias, don't forget, right? So again, if we don't have a result that we want, the first place that we can look is, are we judging ourselves? Now, what happens? You judge yourself, okay? Your primal system, your nervous system, your primal brain will then register that it is being judged, and it will register that as dangerous because 10,000 years ago, if you were the disruptor or you were the person that upset things in your tribe, in your group, you would get kicked out. You were much more likely to die. Okay. You were on your own against saber-toothed tiger or whatever was your local thing that thought you looked like a delicious snack. So today, in our current world, right, this is no longer the case, but we still have this response. So it has this response, it senses danger, and then it floods all of the energy to your adrenaline, cortisol to get you ready to run just in case actual danger is coming. And that means we don't have a lot of energy left for problem solving. Now, it doesn't matter that you are the person judging yourself because this is the primal part of your brain. It just senses judgment, bad, right? So what we then do is we use coaching tools to just take control of the steering wheel again. And one of the things we can do is use curiosity. When we get curious, instead of judging ourselves, suddenly we can start to solve problems. So person one applied this to a relationship at work, okay, and how to resolve that situation. So the first step was noticing that there was judgment, replacing that with curiosity, and then realizing, oh, okay, how do I want to define myself? Like if I'm seeing myself as not a good leader because I'm judging myself and saying it's my fault for this situation, if I want to drop that story because it doesn't help me, doesn't help my team members, and actually, I want to create and reinforce me being a good leader according to my values of what a good leader is. Does that then hold space for doubting myself? Does that hold space for me being a human? Yes, it does. Right? Great. Back on track. Let's look at what being a good leader means and what I want it to mean. And then let's keep building that. Now, with the second person, it was about languages, okay? And it's somebody that speaks 3 languages. Oops, my camera does that sometimes. They speak 3 languages, like a lot of us inside the Life Atelier, okay? And one of the languages had dropped, right? It wasn't the priority language. It wasn't the language of the country that she's living in. And so she hadn't really used it for 2 years and it just kind of stayed the same. We would call it usually like the intermediate plateau. It just plateaus, right? The instinctive approach, again, is, oh, it's my fault. I'm lazy. I should have maintained it. I've wasted all the effort that I put in before. I've lost all these skills. Then, if we replace that with curiosity and we say, okay, what actually happened the last 2 years? Oh, I moved to another country. I started a new life in a new city. I had a baby. I was using this other language. It just wasn't actually a priority. That's okay. I've already learned this language to a high level once, which means I know how to do it. And this time I'm going to do it even faster, right? Because I've already done it before. So what do I want to do with that? So having got from curiosity out of judgment to now let's solve these problems, what we talked about doing was creating an anchor for her language learning, right? In a way that she's achieving her personal, professional goals at the same time as using the language. Now, this Life Atelier member is a psychologist, and she had started to do her PhD in an English-speaking country and now isn't in an English-speaking country, but she's in a city where there are a hell of a lot of English speakers, and we have the internet. She's using the Daily 3, which is great, but also needing that contact time. So we looked at Substack. Now, Substack, if you haven't used it before, it is a platform for writers where you can build community. You can also record audio, podcast, you can connect, people do live events, right? You can really make a whole world in there. So she wants to work on her writing. Hello, if you're watching this, Juliana. And so we thought about, okay, why don't we set a goal of publishing a blog post on Substack once a week or once every 2 weeks? And then think about, okay, that's the writing piece. How do we then increase that speaking time whilst also achieving her life goals and her business goals or her professional goals? Okay, maybe we could start to look for events with people writing in a similar field. So if there are other psychologists that are hosting discussions or they want to do interviews, we're going to start to volunteer for them. And that will be the anchor for the focus for the week. We can also write profiles of people in your field, which means, okay, I'm going to pitch them and say, hey, can we jump on a Zoom call this week so that I can discuss this question, this issue, and maybe I can write a profile. You could look at building in a monthly interview that you record on Zoom and then you share as part of the platform. There are so many ways that this could go and that you can achieve all of your goals at the same time. The language goals, the professional goals, the life goals, like all of these things. Mind, body, experiment, right? So just want to share that. And let me know if it's helpful, if it's useful. If you're watching this inside the Life Atelier, you're one of our members, then share if you've already tried it. Are you using Substack? Are you using something similar? And let me know.